Hey yo, so today we are going to not just review but coach a person from a server I'm from in League, which is Random Dude. So Random Dude plays mid lane, and it seems from what I got that they mainly play with Akali. So we are going to see these games, see where things went wrong, and see where they can go better. We will see here they started on red sides, so let's see what they get. It's a very volatile matchup against Zed. Zed is going for a great sword, sorry, long sword. I'd be concerned if it was anything else. Okay, so they went with a Doran shield. Personally, I think Ring is better on Akali. Okay, so here's the important part. It's the passive, right? Usually you take Doran shield, sorry, not shield, Ring with mana champions. But here you can see if you cannot gain mana, heal 0.55 health instead. And this happens every second. So every second you get 0.55, which means every 2 seconds you get about 1.1 health. Now, this does seem kinda useless, but you have to keep in mind that laning phase lasts for average 14 minutes, so you're gonna keep this item for at least 14 minutes, and that's a lot of health you're just restoring passively. And then the potion makes sense. The longsword for Zed is concerning because Zed is gonna have more damage, and unlike starting with starting items such as Doran's Blade, Longsword allows Zed to immediately start going into items. So there is not really that much of a gold loss here, except for the potions. So this is a thing that at this point you can see, but when you do get in lane and you have seen your opponent at least once, you can press tab and see what items they have. And when you see this, first of all, you have to respect the longsword, especially because we don't have an offensive item here. And two, they have more potions. So having more potions means they are ready to trade more, they are ready to stay in lane longer, and they will out-sustain you, especially because we have the Doran shield. The thing here is that because we're also going against Zed, Zed is a burst champion. So if he's going to fight us, it's usually with the intent to kill. So having Doran shield, where we only regen 4 health every 5 seconds, it can be an issue due to the fact that we may not live that long. Also, the rest of the passive of the 45 health over 8 seconds after taking damage, it's not gonna help much with Zed, because again, he's gonna absolutely do damage. Let me go see Zed, however, because I want to see what runes Zed has, because this is important. I assume he has Electrocute. He does have Electrocute, yes. So he has Electrocute, Sudden Impact, Grisly Mementos, Ultimate Hunter, Coup de Grace and Triumph. Okay. So Zed having Electrocute does confirm, and the Ignite especially. Ignite and Electrocute this confirms. This Zed is going for kills, right? He's going hyper aggressive. Having Grizzly Mementos is also an issue because the more kills he gets, the stronger he gets. Ultimate Hunter is the first time you kill each of the enemy team, you get stacks that give you ultimate haste. This allows Zed to go roam, get a kill, be rewarded for the kill, and by the time you are back, he's gonna have the ultimate faster. A Coup de Grace, again, he does damage to you, electrocute procs, you get to low health, and then a coup de grace activates, and he can just murder you, like on spot. After that we have Triumph, which he regens health upon killing, and the biggest issue here is he gains 20 more gold, right? So this is important because it allows Zed to get to his power spikes faster. The other thing we need to take a look here are the junglers and the supports. So Soraka, very unlikely Soraka is going to roam, so we shouldn't be looking for help from Soraka. Our jungler is a Xin Zhao. Xin Zhao is very good at fighting, especially if you can get Xin Zhao to fight with you against Zed pre-level 6. Because Zed pre-level 6 has to spend his normal cooldowns for surviving and not for killing. Whereas with level 6, he has his ultimate, he can do both at the same time. Because he doesn't exist on the map, and he can start killing you. Enemy jungler is a Jax. Jax is very good at fighting even in minion waves, so that's always a thing. And fighting against Jax is always an issue if you are melee, which Akali is. So you have to respect Jax. And the enemy support is a Mel. Now Mel is very volatile, she can either roam or not roam. The only thing you need to worry about Mel is the root, because Akali is very squishy. She will die to anything. The only thing keeping her alive is burst damage and movement. If you get rooted, not only do you lose your movement to get away, you also lose your movement to confirm a kill. Since Akali needs to move in and out of passive range, she needs to use her E, she needs to use her R, all of which she needs to move. So if Mel roams mid, it completely shuts down Akali. Jax, you need to respect, you need to give wave. If Xin Zhao goes to help, that's awesome. So let's see how this goes from here. Let's see what the pathing is. Okay, so this I already don't like. And here's why. So first thing, you shouldn't be going this side. You should be going instead further down. You should be going down here to Raptors. Xin Zhao doing this is idiotic, right? First of all, you're not going with him. You don't have anyone backing up. 2 of your members are still within base. So even if someone needs to quickly get there, they can't. You are the only person next to him. So if your intention was to stay here, you should have told Xin Zhao you should ping here that you're gonna stay here, and tell them to retreat. I didn't see any ping, so I think you did do that. And even though you don't get XP within the first minute of the game, you still get the first kill gold. And if that goes to either Zed, Darius, or Jax, that's gonna be a huge issue. So here you got too late. Now here's the thing. Let me see this Riven. So Riven did start Q. So Riven could have done Q1, Q2 and have Q3 ready for this. Soraka didn't need to come up this much. She didn't even level an ability yet, but she did have Exhaust. So Riven Q3, Xin Zhao attacking, and Soraka Exhaust. Someone could have gotten a kill here. But these are things that don't depend on you. However, you went completely away. You fled from everyone. So now your team goes in and you're basing. So from here, even though you're basing, you should have your camera over here. Why? Because of the exact reason you just saw. Mel started with root. For laning phase, root is very bad for Mel, right? So you already know that bot lane may have somewhat of an advantage, whereas maybe it wouldn't if she went with Q. She certainly would have a better chance laning with Q instead. Right, so we're still getting pushed here. This is out of your control, so you can't really do much about it. Soraka should have based by this point. She saw everyone was going after Riven. She decided to not base. Now, because they're bot lane there, they're gonna get there in time. And you got here in time as well. This is always a thing you need to be careful, which is recall timers, right? So by 120, the minions are on the T1 tower. If you recalled around 1 minute instead of 40 something, you would have been already late to base. And let me put Fog of War red, because I do want to see if you had vision for Mel. Because if you had vision for Mel, you should ping your Philios that she is there. No, okay, you didn't. So you didn't have vision for Mel, that is fine. So let's see how you deal with this first part of the laning phase. Alright, so trading very aggressively. Level 1, it doesn't matter as much that you're trading this aggressively using Q. It matters, however, that you've already spent all of your energy. The issue with this is Zed started with Q. You don't have that much range compared to Zed. So if Zed needs to last hit one of the casters, he can just Q from a safe distance. You can't. However, if you are around this range and you need to last hit one of the casters, now you don't have the energy for it. So that's also something to keep in mind. Which is exactly what happened. You needed to last hit the caster. You didn't have the energy for it. So you couldn't get the last hit. Meanwhile, Zed does exactly what I said. He Qs the caster. He gets both the experience and the gold. Because the experience you always get just for being in range. But the gold, you don't get the gold unless you last hit. So that is already something that you should do. This is another thing I don't agree with. So, first of all, right, let me show this. So let's go here. So here we have our mid lane, right? Here we have our mid lane, very pretty, very long. The thing we want to focus on here, right, is that you want to go, let me do this, you want to path over here, and then if it's safe, you go over it here. Now, why do you want to do this? So this is a Raptor camp. Raptor camp is very common for most junglers. And even if they don't start Raptors and they instead start either on the Krugs or on the red buff, the Brumbleback, you would still have a ward here. So let's get the ward. So you would like to put a ward around here. Let me get for red side. There we go. So you would like to put a ward around here. And you want to do that around minute 120, right? And that has to do with the fact that even if they don't start Raptors and they instead go around and start on either of these two, the ward lasts 90 seconds. So it still lasts long enough that they can clear these two, come up, do Raptors, and then go do that. This is important for several reasons. First of all, you can see where the jungler is starting. And two, if you know where the jungler is starting, you know where the jungler is going to. Unless it's a special case, like Elise, you often see junglers do a full clear. So let's say they start here at red buff, they go red buff, Krugs, Raptors. So you know the jungler is here, your team knows the jungler is here, and they can either go gank you or go do their blue side. The thing with doing their blue side is that they have tempo, right? This is part of macros. And the thing with having tempo is they can full clear, go do one if they're lucky, both of the scuttles, go base, come back, and the first camp they did should be coming back. This means they wasted no time, they only had the win. And you need to understand tempo if you want to not get ganked, right? So let's continue this. So they started red side, I know they're going blue side, right? So this means instead of ganking me here at around 2 minutes, they are gonna be around this side, and then between 3 minutes and 3 minutes 30, they can go do the scuttle, and they can go either mid or top gank. If they don't show up in that timing, they likely went to base. Now, why is this important? So not only is this important because it's a gank, right? But also because of the fact that if you get ganked, you want to stay away from your minion wave most of the time. And by staying away from the minion wave, you can still get the XP, but you won't get the gold. So you can match levels with your lane partner, but you won't be able to get to the same power spikes that they do, and as fast as they do. Now, the issue with this is also that, you know, they have vision here. For example, if they start here, they have vision here. This is also important for your jungler, because now your jungler knows, oh, I don't need to go see top lane for that scuttle crab, because I know bot lane is gonna have the scuttle crab. So they can just go here. So let's see a little bit more of this. Another thing, right, is that Akali's AoE for her Q is about this, right? It's something around these lines. What's the issue with doing that? Well, if you start taking damage off the enemy minions, your wave will be more healthy, and therefore your wave will push. You don't want that with Akali this early, because Akali is very weak early game. You have a few options. So option one that you have is you push wave 1, right? Wave 1 you push. And then what you do with wave 2 and 3? Well, wave 2, you only last hit the enemy minions, so you don't give push. It does like a mini freeze, right? So what happens is, for example, here, your minions have more total health than the enemy minions' total health. This means you are gonna push. And what happens when you push? They go in their tower. Zed has to either let hit them or let tower kill them. And after that happens, Zed's minion wave starts pushing. Now, what you can do from there, since this is still the beginning of the game, is wave 2 and 3, you build a 2-wave push. And the way you go about doing this is only last hitting. By using your Q here, you're already decreasing the health of these minions, making them die sooner, making your wave push faster. And even if your wave pushes, Zed can stay around here, tank these minions, and he creates a freeze. And again, because his Q is so superior to Akali's, he can just zone you out of any last hits. Meanwhile, you can't do that. So being aggressive and playing around waves is very important for Akali. This also makes it harder for enemy jungler to gank you. So you last hit the enemy minions, and in that time, your next wave is coming. So by this point, you have basically at around half of your wave 2 and your entire wave 3. And then when wave 3 is here, you start pushing this wave and you do a crash, right? So you send all of these minions to Zed's tower. It will be very hard for Zed to last hit every or most of these minions, making him lose on gold. Meanwhile, in the first, I think, 5 minutes of the match, towers have increased defenses. Now this goes down over time, but it's also to do with the plates. The first, I believe, 5 minutes, these have a lot of resistance. So you're very unlikely to take a plate very early in the game. So why do we want to push this badly? Well, by pushing this way forward, Zed is forced to stay here. He's forced to stay here either for XP or XP and gold. Meanwhile, you don't lose anything. So what you can do is you can go base, get your health back, you can go around and ward this area. But if you warded before, you already know the jungler is not gonna be here yet because it's 150. So 150, they should be around this area. So you can instead go ward this bush, right? Assuming they start red side, you can go ward this bush. What this does is it makes a safety blanket for you. Zed cannot push you, he doesn't have a wave, and if he pushes you, he's gonna be losing XP and gold. If the enemy jungler pushes you, you can see from the ward you put up here. Because even this ward is dog shit. This only covers the enemy jungler stealing this area. But if you have your own ward here, it covers basically the entire bush. Just be careful if you put your ward here more skewed to like one side or the other. There's gonna be a dead area where enemies can go through and you can't see them. So putting it around the middle of the bush gives you a better coverage of that vision. So let's see how this goes, because you already lost a few minutes. You have 1 CS less than Zed, and here you could have absolutely queued that minion. Your abilities are not only to deal damage to enemy champions, they're also for farming, pushing waves, doing camps, etc. Right? So Zed was not threatening you for that last hit. You were not in range for melee, but you were in range for Q. You could have just thrown out your Q. So you're just missing CS there. That was well played. So far, so good. Now here comes wave 2. You are missing a lot of last hits. but you are now ahead of Zed. So this is another thing, right? Because you don't have vision, you feel threatened to go forwards. So you're just letting Zed farm for free. He doesn't need to farm for free. You shouldn't allow him to farm for free. Yet that is exactly what you're doing. This distance is insane. This is insane. Now here comes wave 3. Let's see what you do about it. So you did not threaten Zed getting the last hit. This minion was low health. You should walk up to around here and threaten Zed with your Q range. Because Zed would either have to walk away or challenge you in order to get that last hit. And again, Zed is just getting Qs in. Now these Qs are a good idea, right? Because these Qs allow you to push your wave that still has the cannon. However, because you don't have a full wave to crash, what you should have done is only last hit those minions. Why? Because you should try to make the minions kill the cannon, because you already don't have the enemy cannon, right? The enemy cannon is gone, but yours still is. So you can still play around this. Because the enemy also wants to get the cannon. The cannon gives a huge amount of gold. And the enemy knows that, and they want it. It's very tasty. Now, what do you do about that? You don't kill the wave. You let the wave kill the cannon minion. And even if Zed gets the cannon minion, you should be there to pressure him so that he at least takes damage for it. You never let them take things for free. At least most of the time, right? So this is something that could have been avoided. And now because you messed up your timer to push the wave, now you cannot base, because otherwise Zed just pushes this wave, and then you'll be too late to collect it at your tower. Also, it is now 3:30. Riven is here, and we don't see enemy jungler. And here it's warded. We're not seeing any enemy jungler yet. So a gank is going to happen. 3:30 is a magical timer. Somewhere in between 3 and 3:30, there will be either a scuttle or a gank, or both. And you are very pushed up. So you either play a little bit back around this area, or you push this wave as much as you can. Because you need to crash the wave. The issue with this is that the caster minions from Zed are so far back, you cannot possibly challenge them unless you go on their tower. And that's where Zed is strongest. And you spent your Q for 2 minions and you only got 1 of them. Absolutely not necessary. That E was not necessary either. Your last hits for this wave were better. And Zed only got 1. So now what should happen is you should push this as much as humanly possible. And then go base. You went base. Good. What? Hell no. Absolutely not. No. So even though Jin Zhao is right here, and there is a cannon, you shouldn't have teleported right here. Because if Zed played well, either you die to Zed and Zed dies to Jin Zhao, or Jin Zhao won't make a difference and you take at least half of your health, right? Because even though he doesn't have ultimate, he has electrocute. You cannot underestimate electrocute. Now the issue with doing this is you didn't allow Zed's wave to push to your tower. If you allowed Zed's wave to push to your tower by teleporting to the tower instead of the wave, Jin Zhao could have stayed here, the wave would have pushed, right? You would have given push. Zed would have moved from this area to around this area, and this would allow Jin Zhao to then come from here and you from here, and Zed is fucked. So you could have missed a cannon minion, but you would have gotten a kill. And the thing here is, like, not only do you get a kill, you don't have a lane partner for a few seconds, and that makes a world of a difference. Not only that, but Zed doesn't have teleport, right? Zed doesn't have teleport, so he cannot get to lane the same way you did. He has to take the long walk of shame. So here Zed is trying to push because he's already bleeding the enemies. Not the enemies, the minions. And that was a good trade. That Q was unnecessary. So Zed was already away from the wave. You wanted to maintain that. Alright, so let's go back real quick. Let's go back real quick because Zed was in a good position for you. Alright, so from here, how do we maintain this? You don't force the minions' health here. You let the minions hit each other and you threaten Zed. Instead, you went back. So let's say there's an imaginary line, right? You were here, Zed was here. And there's this distance to it. Now what happened is you went to this line, so Zed came to this line. Still the same imaginary distance. So it's very important you keep that in mind. Because you came back, and so Zed went forward. Now you went forward, Zed went back. He got all of the last hits, that's fine. And you went to put this ward. Now this ward is dog shit, and I'll explain you why. So as you can see here, because of the vision, if the jungler is here, you can't see them. If they are farming, you can see them. Alright, so let's say they are farming here in Raptors. You cannot see them. That's why you need to put this ward further up around this area. Because around this area, it gives you vision from here. Right? So this is a way better ward than this. It's small, simple things, but they do make a difference. Because even if it doesn't affect you, you allow your team to see that. Even now, I don't know if you noticed, but we just saw Jax on the minimap. It's very important to always have the minimap in mind. So we saw Jin Zhao going there to farm, you know, as a jungler does. And we saw Jax go away. Alright? at this point, they didn't ping anything, right? Riven and especially Jinzhao should have been the ones to ping. Jax is very close to Riven, but Darius is not in a good wave state. So it's unlikely that Riven will get ganked, because her wave is good, she's healthy, the tower is healthy, and Jinzhao is right there, right? And we know that Jax is around here. And it's unlikely that he's gonna gank here. So he either goes back to blue side, goes gank you, or he goes to base. Right? Those are the timers he has right now. It's playing around this area. Alright, good trade. But also, let's see items. Right? So Zed only has a long sword. You have 2 amplifying tones in the health potion. So what you should do now is not hit these minions to force Zed to stay in wave as much as possible. If he recalls, you push this wave, so he misses the wave. So let's see what he do here. Alright, he pushed that. So even if Zed was recalling, he can just go back and farm for free. And as I said, Jax was around that area. He had several options. Unlikely he was gonna gank Riven, so they ganked you. So what he should have done here is played slow. What does playing slow do? Right? You don't have this warded. Jax was around here on the minimap. So what this does is it allows you to be safer. Even if Jax shows up here, Jax's movement options are very limited. So even if he shows up here, you have time to walk back, you have time to W back, you have time to E back. So you have options. When you push forward like this, you don't have options. And now, if Jax stuns you, Zed can very quickly kill you. You should have died. And you most likely will. Yep, there you go, you died. You did ping Flash and ult. You did not ping Ignite. They used Ignite on you. And now we know Jax is here. Now it's likely that Jax is doing Raptors, but if he wasn't, it would have been better if this ward was up here, because then you could actually see whether he's doing Raptors or he just walked around to the Brambleback. Now Zed has a good wave. He has wave 3. The important thing about, this wave 3 is that it's a cannon wave. What do cannons do? They do more damage to towers. And, assuming they are full health, they can tank exactly 8 shots from the tower. Those are 8 tower shots that Zed has for free to hit this. And it's been 5 minutes, so it's likely he's gonna get the plate. And at this point, your teleport is still not back. So Zed probably knows, because Riven got a Jinzhao gank and they killed Darius. So he knows that Jinzhao is around this area of the map, right? Because this is where he last saw them. So he's not taking risks, because if he pushes too much, he can die. Riven is not pushing too much, because we don't know exactly if Jax is in base, red, blue, or Drake. Because even you don't have any Drake vision from your team, right? So Riven is doing her own side questing instead of pushing there. So your lane is losing there. Even bot lane is not doing exactly bad at this point. So what's gonna happen here is Zed is going to base. We're gonna buy items. We just saw Jax here. So he's probably gonna challenge for Drake. And now the thing with this, right? The importance of mid lane is not that you affect a lot of the map, is that from mid lane you can access a lot of the map, right? So from mid lane, you can go to Drake, you can go to Void objectives, you can do Scuttle, you can go further and go into another lane, you can deviate and go into the jungles, you can go everywhere from mid lane. It's a very important lane, and it's basically mandatory that you win your lane. If you win your lane, so for example, here is like the neutral line, right? This would be the neutral line for mid lane. If you lose your tower, the neutral line is now around here. That is a lot of your lane you are giving the priority of. And now the thing is, you are forced to stay on tower and collect the wave. Zed can go back, and then the enemy bot lane, they're over there. Meanwhile, this is how your team looks, right? Your river vision here is expiring, so you're not gonna have that. You cannot go there, because if you go here, you are guaranteed losing all of these minions and tower health. If you stay here, you're not helping your team. Your team, what they should do is give this Drake. It's very tempting to fight for Drake. It's permanent stackable buffs. But they don't have wave states to do this. They don't have vision to do this. They don't have position to do this. They should give this Drake. So what they should do is give the Drake and wards in places to prevent ganks. So let's do this. If you have a ward, after you do this, you should put a ward here. Your bot should put a ward there and there. And your jungler should clear this as fast as possible. Because if he takes too long to clear this, what happens is his jungle gets invaded, and either they're gonna steal stuff or they're gonna kill your jungler. If they kill your jungler, they can immediately go clear the rest of his jungle. They can invade one of the lanes. They can try and get priority on the Void objective by setting up vision there. And you are stuck under tower farming. Now, your saving grace here is that this is a half crash, right? So what's the difference between a crash and a half crash? So a crash, you push the minion wave, and they all go under tower, right? A half crash, you push them towards tower, a few minions go, aggro the tower, and then eventually die, but minions more in the back meet your other minions more in the front, so half of the wave dies to tower, half of the wave stays alive. So what should you do from here? You should just last hit, right? You should let the minions fight each other and last hit. So why is this important? You know Zed based. He's not in lane. That means because he based basically right after you died, he's going to be back soon. right? He's either gonna be here or he's gonna be peeking around this area, right? But we don't know, so we have to play around what we know, and what we know is that Zed is not here. Zed based. Everyone else in the enemy team is right here. So if you push and you go too far, Zed's gonna be here, can kill you. The enemy team can quickly pivot over here, they can kill you. However, if you play slow and you last hit over here, what happens, not only are you farming more safely, right? This is like your safe area right here. Not only are you in the safe area, because the minions are fighting each other, the enemy minions are also killing your minions. It's XP and gold you are denying from Zed. He cannot get these back. He has to either go kill some jungle, some more minions, some other person, etc., to get the equivalent of that gold back. Right? And at this point, you are basically on par on your CS. Right? So making a gap is super important, especially because you were already dead. Right? So at this point, Zed got another longsword and Merc Treads. So Merc Treads for you here is amazing, right? So let's see the CC you have from your team. You have Purple Gun and you have Soraka Root. It's very unlikely he's going to be fighting them this early in the game. You don't have any CC whatsoever. Jinjiao only has his ult for CC. And Riven is still busy in top lane. So these Merc Treads do nothing except getting more magic resist from you. Right? And that doesn't matter because at this point you can't kill him anyways. You're just looking to trade safely. Meanwhile, you got refillable potions and control wards. I can understand getting refillable potions, especially when playing from behind, so I'm not going to criticize this too much. However, I will criticize buying a control ward. So the issue with you having a control ward and a sweeper, right, is that because you have a sweeper, you can no longer place wards to protect yourself. Step 1, you are blind. Step 2, because you have a control ward, it's taking up a slot in your inventory. You don't have priority. If you don't have priority, you cannot leave your lane and go do things adjacent to it, such as placing wards. The issue with this is also that you spend, I think, 75 gold for a control ward. That's like half or a third of some of the basic items you need. Control wards are only important for objectives. You don't have priority on this objective, so you're not gonna do shit here. There's nothing going on here, right? Void grubs only spawn in 1 minute 20. And you have no priority to leave your lane right now. And if you put your pink ward here, right? What happens? You lose all of this, right? All of this XP, all of this gold is gone. For your team, if they run away towards you, you're not here anymore to help them. Because even if they take damage from this fight, you could still be healthy. And that could be a changing factor in this fight. And then if you go over here, either there's no ward, so you gain vision, but you don't deny vision. And because there's no ward, you have nothing to clear. And even if there was a ward and you cleared it, it would be about 5 gold, right? 5-10 gold-ish. Passively, that's good, but when you are trading all of this for 5 gold, it's not a good idea. Right, so you spend 75 gold for nothing. Alright, so here this is very scary. Right, this is very scary indeed because you have crashed. Right, you wanted this to crash. So you're leaving that over there. Your team is getting pushed. So now you should run away. Okay, you did run away. Now here's the issue, right? You got kills. Okay, very good. The issue comes from you walking here back and forth. That walking back and forth, you could have been here, and even if you didn't kill these minions to get the gold, you could have been in range for getting XP. Alright? So from a wave of about 6 minions, you got 2 of them. And now it's not safe to go for tower because you know Zed is here. Zed is around here. And there you go. There is Zed. Now, I don't think that was a good idea. Fighting Zed there was not a good idea. Damaging these minions is a good idea. Why? Because this is a cannon wave. It's important you attack tower with the cannon wave. So by damaging these minions, the total health Zed's wave has compared to the total health your wave has is lower, meaning yours are gonna push. Unless, you know, Zed does something about it. Another thing, right? Zed's abilities don't get blocked by other entities. What this means is he can Q both the minions and you, regardless of who is in front. And there's a moth back here, so let me just yoop. It was actually a silverfish. Zed's abilities can go through all of this, right? So even if you stay behind minions, you're not making Zed have to make a choice. He can take this Q any day of the week, he loses nothing. You, however, your E gets blocked. So if you need to E him, you can't. So what you should do is play either from this side or this side of the wave. Because then what happens is, instead of Zed queuing through the wave and hitting both, he has to make a choice of he queues you, and then the wave stays healthy, or he queues the wave, and then you stay healthy. And you can always take this to your advantage. The same way, Zed can stay behind his minions, and you can't E him. Alright, so this was very good, right? Excellent. You did not hit the enemy minions, you let them kill the cannon minion from your wave, and you still got the cannon minion from the enemy wave. The issue was you used E to get that. You don't do that. The way you last hit with Q is by hitting the shuriken, not the recast. And you do that for a reason of you E forwards, so you go backwards, and the shuriken last hit, so you're safe. By doing this, you are actively in front of Zed right here. And as you saw, you are now losing in health compared to Zed. Well, you're basically equal. But you lost a trade, right? You lost a trade because you didn't hit Zed back. So all of the health you had is gone now. This was very good, very well played. Now Jax should get executed by your ultimate. Alright. So Jin Zhao is going back, and so are you. And the wave is in the middle. This means the wave is reset. And you can see from the minimap that he's not touching the wave, right? So he's losing all of this gold just to get that like 5 gold. Right, that is not worth it. So he only got a little bit of gold there. And he's also not pushing this. So what you can do here, right, is if you only less hit these minions, your wave and the enemy wave are gonna meet here. This is a lane freeze, right? So now Zed has to respect this, and so does Jax. Why? So let's say, right, that it does freeze here. You can farm relatively safely, because if someone jumps at you, tower is right there, right? And you don't need to go any further because the minions are all here. So why would you go any further? Meanwhile, Zed, if he misses a Q or something of the sort, you can just throw a Q back at him. You can throw an E at him, etc. If you do get ganked for whatever reason, you are far back enough that you can just retreat and you don't lose that much. So let's see where this goes. You are pinging that Zed is missing. That's always good. So now this was bad, right? So your cannon minion is already not going to do much to the tower. So instead of queuing, you should have walked up forward, did that last hit, and then walked back here. Instead of doing that, you queued the rest of the wave, and they basically all died. The issue with this is now you have a super small wave, super fragile, and if Zed is coming back, and he should be around this area, he has this cannon for free. He can just Q this cannon and it dies of bleed damage. And you can't do shit about it. Not to mention, if you waited this little bit, this oncoming wave would have met with this wave and you could have done a 1.5 wave crash. Or even if you didn't crash with that many minions, your total minions would be more than the enemy minions, so you would have had priority anyways. But by doing this, you're denying yourself of that. And you're gonna half crash. Yeah. So here's the issue with you leaving the lane in a state like this, right? You are using your sweeper, which, okay, cool, you do have a sweeper. However, Jin Zhao has a sweeper, and at this point, Soraka should have a sweeper because she has a compass, right? She should have a sweeper, but she doesn't. But Jin Zhao does, right? And you can also see from the minimap, since Jin Zhao is there, this is done, right? He can burst this, he can smite this. Riven is also right there. Darius is missing. They can easily do this after as well. They can also just leave this if the situation gets tough. Now, what did you do here? You have crashed. What does this mean? Your minions are attacking the enemy minions. Enemy tower is attacking your minions. So while yes, Zed is not getting the XP gold from these minions, you have no priority. So what happens is it's gonna go back to a neutral state around this area, right? Around this area is gonna go back to neutral. This means no one needs to be in this lane. However, if you waited a little bit, let this wave get by, kill the enemy wave, and then left, you know there's no waves coming at this point. So how do you see the enemy waves? So for example, we can see here from top side, the wave is in between the T1 and the T2 towers. Because the lane is basically mirrored, it means that if our wave is here, then the enemy wave is here. So if I play right now, you're gonna see there are the enemy minions, right? Because the waves are mirrored. And unlike you, Riven did what you tried to do properly. She crashed the wave into the tower before the minions got there. It did damage to the tower. Someone has to come take care of this. Meanwhile, the state you left it at, no one needs to go take care of this. And now you wasted time, you wasted the sweeper, you accomplished nothing. And as I said, Zed is here, it can just Q stuff for free. Now, this is not a good idea, right? So we know Jax is here, so we should stay like back here because he just did Drake. Let's look at the minimap. He's going down, he's going down, he's going down. Okay. So he's going down, we can walk forward again. Instead, we don't walk forward. So you did nothing, right? And because you have a sweeper, instead of having a ward, you cannot ward like here, or here, or here. So you have no vision. You are absolutely blind here. Because we saw Jax going into this side of the jungle. What if Jax clears Krugs, then Brumbleback, then Raptors, and then mid? You won't know. What if Jax went to the jungle and he's waiting for enemy bot lane to push up to gank them? What if Jax is in jungle but he based and then he's going to blue jungle? We do not know any of this. We don't have any wards, we don't have information, we don't have vision. So we pushed up on Zed. That's always a very risky thing to do. Not only does Zed do a lot of burst damage, Akali also doesn't have a lot of health. And if we look, you were about in range for a Q. And you did not take that Q. So around here, right? There's nothing blocking. You could E. You could W. You could Q. You can do anything here, right? So here what you could do is W. And then I'm not sure if you are aware of this, but if you leave your Akali W and you throw the E Shuriken to this, right? So Shuriken goes this way, you go this way, the Shuriken stays stuck in the smoke. So what you could do is W, E backwards, makes you go forwards, auto, Q, walk away, and then you can either E again, right? E recast, and you go back to the smoke area, or you can go back in and auto Z, but that one is very risky, right? Because just you having your passive up is enough of a threat that Zed needs to take some distance and wait out your passive. Alright, so you got hit by that and then you avoided the Q. So just from that thing alone, you took almost 300 damage. That's a lot for one ability. And again, you are staying in the middle of your wave. Zed can Q you for free, especially because you're just staying still. So you just staying still completely fucks you up, right? Zed doesn't need to read anything, you can just throw it out. Why? Right, so this W was good, because you deny Zed of vision of where you are. So this was a bad idea, right? So Zed was here, you were here, lane was here. Waves, right? Your wave was there. What's the issue with this? Well, as you saw, Zed can just Q this way. He hits you and the wave. Meanwhile, since you and the wave get hit, you lose health, the lane loses health, Zed doesn't lose health, he gains experience and gold. And you just spent a refillable potion. Right, you just spent a refillable potion. Whatever health you got back is basically gone. And then you got hit again. So now your health is even lower than when it started. And this is awful. I hope you did not go through with this. Okay, thank you. This is crazy. Absolute insanity. No way you live from this. Yep. So, again, right? Terrible wave state. It's neutral. We don't know where Jax is. The last time we saw Jax was here. Right? We saw Jax did not gank bot. We don't know if he went base to go blue, or if he cleared from bottom to up. What happens that he cleared from bottom to up, you went down, so you died, right? If you had a ward, you could have warded this area, you could have warded there. Even if the ward stops working because they have a sweeper or a pink ward, you just play more safely. You went all in without any information, without anyone being next to you, right? So you have 3 people in bot, 1 person in top. You had no one next to you to help you. This was suicidal. And now Zed is doing what you should have done, which is let the enemy cannon die, and then you kill the sorry, he let his own cannon die, and then he killed your cannon. Now what happens is you don't get access to that cannon ever, and you are dead for 15 seconds. And now it should reset around the middle here. So we know Zed went to base, right? We know Zed went to base. And since you have teleports, you can teleport right now. Yep. You can teleport right now, and Zed should be around here. Oh, he didn't. He went bottom. Okay. I did not pay attention to that, so sorry. So we know Zed is bottom, and it doesn't have teleport or anything of the sort. So clear this wave as fast as possible. You missed that minion, and you got that one. Okay. This W was absolutely useless, right? The issue with Akali is not the mana, because she doesn't have mana, she has energy. The issue with Akali is the cooldowns. You now have to wait 20 seconds to use that W again. Whether it's to hide yourself, whether it's to run away, whether it is to use it with your W, it's gone, right? And within 20 seconds, they can absolutely come here and kill you. Now the thing is, because of when you died, you froze against yourself. You need to clear this as fast as possible. And again, we are still blind, right? And now Jax is here. So we are under enemy tower. Jax is in front of us. We are completely blind everywhere on the map. You're probably gonna die here. No. No. You never take this fight. If Jax jumped to a minion, and started doing his stun going to you, you would have died. Instead, he went back to the minion. When that happened, all you have to do is just walk away, and he can't do anything more to get to you. Instead, you went back in just because you procced your passive. Just because you have your passive doesn't mean you have to use it. You having your passive, sometimes it's a deterrent from enemies going to you, right? And now you're probably gonna die. Or not. If Jax used his ultimate, which he didn't have, but you don't know that, right? At this point, you don't know if he does or doesn't. But you have to respect him, even if he's several levels down. Jax is a duelist. He's made for 1v1s. And again, you're over here sweeping, wasting time, instead of taking care of this way, right? You also know Jax is around this area. So what if Jax went around to this push? You could have died. So again, you would have warded this area from around here, and then you can safely farm. The other thing is, if something is within this area, right, this smaller circle, you turn it off and you can destroy that ward. If it's within this outer circle, you see like a red outline that something is there. So you don't need to be walking here back and forth. That doesn't do anything except waste time, right? You go there. If there's something to destroy, cool. If there's a red outline, you know there's something there. You can make a choice to go to it or not. Nothing showed up. You should have went immediately back to lane. You didn't do that. So we are still blind. We only have a Storm Surge. Now the thing is, Storm Surge is a good item on Akali, but not when you are behind. So you can get a Rocket Belt. It gives you an extra dash. So even if your E doesn't get you away, even if your R1 doesn't get you away, you can still have Rocket Belt to get you away. Plus, it helps you do more AP damage. So you get movement, you get AP damage, and I believe it slows the enemy if the projectiles hit from the Rocket Belt. And then the other thing is Lich Bane, right? Lich Bane is not something you want to build often on Akali, but you are losing badly, right? Even though you are winning in tower damage, you still have done nothing. You have made no progress. You have made several mistakes. You have no vision anywhere. So this is awful. And I don't know why we are here. So here's the thing, right? Top has prio, so top should go to river. You don't have prio, right? So the wave is gonna meet right here. You don't have vision of Zed. Zed can go here, he can go here, or he can go here, right? More likely than not, Zed is going up there right now. Because even though it's a Jax, just Riven and Jin Zhao alone can take care of Jax. Even if there's a Zed, they should be able to take care of the Zed. And did you die? You didn't die. Okay. So you got sandwiched, right? You were out of position. The correct way for you to have done this, even though the choice of you going there was wrong, if you wanted to do this better, what you should have done is stay in this area of the bush, right? If something happens, you can go around, you can go over it, whatever, right? If they take care of it, you can just walk back to lane. If Zed goes up, you're here in the bush, so you can see Zed. You did none of that. So you being in this bush, exactly what was the worst case scenario to you happened, right? Now, even though you got Jax, it doesn't help you one bit. The only thing that's going to help you here is pushing this wave and taking, hopefully, at least 2 more plates, right? So until 14 minutes, there's plates on towers, and they give you a lot of gold. You want to suck up as many plates as you can, right? Not only do you get more plates, you get more priority on the map. So let's see how this goes. Because now, Zed doesn't know, right? He doesn't know that your jungler is this far back. You just killed their jungler, so to Zed, Jin Zhao could be somewhere around here, right? So he from him playing this far back, you should know Zed thinks Jin Zhao is somewhere around here prowling, right? He doesn't know that he went back to farming. So even though you don't have the team advantage, you have the mental advantage. And you should push this as fast as you can. Instead of pushing as fast as you can, you challenged Zed again, and now you went back. He gets the rest of this wave for free, the next wave comes back, they meet in the middle, and it's the same all over again. You didn't create any space, you didn't create any priority. And he has vision of you, he could have just killed you. Right? You canceled it yourself, but he could have killed you. What were you gonna do about it? Right? You could have gone back here, because here you still gave vision of each other. Now the issue with this is that we're back to neutral. And in neutral, Zed has more power than you do. Not only does he have more range, he has more burst than you, he has more bleed than you, his attacks go through enemies while only your Q does, which has very short range. And keep in mind he has Flash Ignite, right? If you paid attention, he doesn't have Ignite anymore, but he still has Flash. And he should have Ultimate. Yeah, he also has Ultimate. So he has Flash and Ultimate, he has a health lead, he has everything to kill you. So you went stupidly far back, right? It took you forever to clear this wave, and you went so far back that you wasted time. You could have just went around this time. Now, because you took so long, the wave is back to neutral. And because the wave is back to neutral, and it's a cannon wave, you need this. You need this XP, you need the gold, especially from the cannon minion. But you are short on a teleport, and you just went to base, so you have to walk your way over here. And you got Sork Shoes, which are not bad, but they're not gonna help you right now. Right? So what you should have done here, you should have bought T1 boots, right? And then started making your second item. So you do item 1, you get normal boots, you get item 2, and then you finish your boots. The other thing with this is, again, we have no vision, right? Completely blind. All we know is that this fight is going on, and we saw Zed going down, so now it's gonna be a 4v2, right? It's gonna be a 4v2, and Soraka just died. And because Zed walked down, Jax jumped to Zed and stayed alive, and now Aphelios should die with like an Ash W or something. Or no, just Q. Okay, just Q auto. And now your team is flaming you, with reason, and you're just standing here. So at this point, what you should have done is just push this wave. You push this wave and you hang back, right? Because now you're waiting longer. Zed is gonna come here. Maybe someone else will come here. And there we go, Zed came here and you're challenging Zed. Zed has a red buff. And he hasn't used his ultimate. He went there and he didn't have to do anything. He has every cooldown to kill you. So here, you should try to play around Xin Zhao getting to Zed. Right? Because what is happening here is that, one, you can still die. Right? You can absolutely still die here. Which is what happened. And two, because your wave was pushed up, you couldn't get his wave. He exchanged a wave for a kill, and now he can go back to lane, and this wave is going to be free, and it's a cannon wave. He's going to have a cannon wave for free, and you can't do anything about it. And your teleport is somewhat up. Did you buy anything? No, not yet. So Zed was around here, so yep, there we go, and he gets away for free. And you lost this entire wave. And you're probably gonna lose at least half of this wave. So Zed went base. And now you're flaming Soraka. Soraka is flaming you. So this is where shit goes to die, right? You're tilted. You're blaming Soraka. She has a global ult that could heal you right then and there. Soraka wasn't looking, right? You already knew from the last fight that Soraka wasn't very inclined to go help you, right? You have been behind since almost the beginning of the game, and you continue pushing as if you were in front. You need to adapt your playstyle when you're behind. You need to play slower. You need to play for guaranteed things, right? Such as minions, such as towers, such as objectives. When you are in front, and you have a huge power difference, you can do more volatile things like going for kills. Akali is very reliant on being ahead and the enemy being squishy, and now you lost all of this. And Soraka is doing fuck all because I assume she's flaming you. She's either flaming you or throwing. So now Ashe is in mid, which is exactly what should happen. Zed being here wasn't expected. So you should have died. The only reason you didn't die was because Zed was clearing wave, which was unnecessary. And now you die. So now what's gonna happen, right? Power plates are down. So there's no protection here. Zed got 2 kills from you in a row for free. He just came back from base and he got the serrated Dirk, so he has more lethality and AD. But a thing I don't know if you saw from the previous time that you fought with Zed, he had an Eclipse. This shit alone kills you. And now he has a cannon wave. He gets this for free. Xin Zhao can't do anything about this, and Jax is right there. Yep, and Soraka is paying that Jax is alive, so no one pushes. If Zed challenged a little bit more, he could have either put Xin Zhao to half or taken the tower. So at this point, what should happen, right, is Riven should go bot, ADC and support should go mid, and you go top, right? This is what should happen. Now, why is this? It's because of the objectives. So ADC and support are usually the ones that are gonna help you win, right? The supports and ADCs are incredibly behind, especially your team, but it's still important that they go here and do something about it, right? Your Riven is playing really well. She's playing stupidly well. And you are playing really badly and are very behind. So what should happen is Darius pushes these ones, and you should be around here to collect whatever Darius has. Your range to Darius's range is very scary. You can do a lot of damage, but if you play slow, you could win against Darius, or at least not lose, right? You wouldn't win, but you wouldn't lose either. And this is a thing that you need to go in chat and you need to tell your teammates, hey, please switch with me. And you see, Riven has a good lead, and she came here to distribute that lead. She recognized, hey, we can't beat these people right now, let's go back. And that's what happened. Now here, you could have challenged Mel. Mel was fully focused on Riven. You don't need to walk up all the way, but you could have killed her at least to get some pressure onto her. Now, Riven is not here, and your wave is clear, so you have no more minions. The enemy is pushing up, and you are completely alone here. You are under tower, but you can very much die here. That is incredibly suicidal, and there you go, you die. So you need to know the limits of your character. Not only are you weak from behind with Akali, you are borderline useless. Especially when Mel has range, Ashe has range, and Zed can poke you with range. Riven got very low and had to go back, and you kept pushing, you kept pushing, you kept pushing. You fucked around and you found out. And now there's no one to protect this tower, so it's very likely you're gonna lose this tower. And you can see from the effects that Jax is there. There we go. So the way this should go now is Riven just goes to tower, while you should be going bot lane. Why? The entire enemy team is up here, right? The entire enemy team is up here. You're gonna lose mid anyways, especially if you are going to fight someone, because at this point in the game, even against Mel, you don't win. Bot lane is completely free right now. So by the time you get there, you should have minions to go and collect. And if something happens, you can just teleport away. And instead your team chose to fight. Jin Xiao is gonna die. Yep, there we go. Now Riven dies. And now everything went to shit. I don't think Soraka gets away because of that. Maybe she gets because of the blast cone. So you shouldn't be here. you should not be here. If you want to be here, you push this. At this point you should be bottom because it was the safest point in the entire map. You're clearing this very slow. You're missing CS. Somehow you are ahead of Zed in CS, but you are very behind on items. You have no vision, and now because of Shelly, you are guaranteed to lose this. You should have queued those void grubs. Oh fuck. Okay, so you eing towards this side is incredibly dangerous. Your jungler was here, your tower is here, and you eat towards this way. It's away from your team, it's away from your tower, it's away from any safety you have. Of course they jumped onto you. Now you should have died here. I assume Jinja was gonna die. Yep. This is incredibly stupid. And now you die. Why? They let you live. All you had to do was just go back. Now, what happened is you just lost mid T1. Right? You just lost mid T1. You just lost 3 of your teammates. And now you have a Darius that can absolutely kill this Aphelios. Meanwhile, the only thing you took was the jungler. But there's no objectives on the map. They just did Shelly. There's no Drake. So the jungler being dead loses nothing. If anything, it just resets the timing for all of his camps. So you did nothing. And now Darius can kill Aphelios and then probably almost kill this tower, if not completely kill that tower. Meanwhile, you also burned your flash. That is gonna be so long because you didn't use your flash to kill, you didn't use your flash to survive, you just use your flash. Right? This is completely idiotic. And now Darius Qs? No? Okay. Does he have ult? He doesn't. If he had ult, he would have killed Aphelios right there. And I don't think Riven wins these. She's gaming, I take my words back. Is she gonna ward? No, she's going after Ashe. Riven alone is making this game not go to shit. Now, if you noticed, Riven got revealed by the plant, right? So she knows someone is right here, right? Right here, there's someone, and it's likely to be Jax. Now, why is it likely to be Jax? Jax was the first person on their team to die in this last fight. That means he's also the first person to come back for the next fight. So it's very likely Jax is here. Riven recognizes she can win against Ashe, but she can't win against Ashe and Jax, or maybe even just Jax. So she goes back. And there we go, it's Jax. Now, they start Drake, they get Vision, and this Drake should be free for them. I don't know how you guys are allowed to fight this Drake, because you should not be allowed. So, 1. The only priority you have is in top. Right? Top is the only priority you have on this map. Mid is frozen. This is going to crash and then reset, I think. Here, it's basically neutral, so nothing's happening here. And you don't have any vision in this area. Let me see what you have. You have Shadow Flame, not bad. Meanwhile, Zed is working on his third item. Now, what's the issue with this? They just stole the Drake, right? So even all this was not worth it in the end. You could have been playing for waves. You could have been playing for priority. You could have been waiting for them to take the baits to go into the Drake, and then you kill them in the pit. And now you are going to die in the pit. So you're going after Ashe, which is a good idea. Now here's the thing, right? If you didn't waste your flash before, you would have your flash for now. If things went to shit, you would have had your flash right now. If someone in your team would have died here, you could have flashed in and killed them so they wouldn't die. Flashing there is... not flashing. Challenging there is a very bad idea. Poking with Q can be okay, but if he grabs you with E, you are most likely dead. Especially at half health. You have no energy and you are half health. He can absolutely kill you. Again, you took Drake. Top is still having priority. Mid is neutral. And bot is losing. Right? It's probably gonna go neutral. Since Aphelios is up here. So the only priority you have is in top. And it's good you're not using your teleport right here. So you have your teleport if something else important comes up. And you can still get the cannon. Nice. So you did not waste your teleport, so that's good. Now here's the thing, right? Now that the fight is over, your team has almost perfect vision around Drake. But now Drake is not gonna spawn for like 3 to 4 minutes now. Right? And the bigger issue is the enemy team has 3 Drakes. The next Drake is gonna be Soul. You have to fight for the next Drakes. It's not an option anymore. It's no longer a side quest. And you're challenging Jax for no reason. And now you die. Yep. You are away from your entire team. You are very, very behind. And you still win the challenge. For what? You didn't even get a kill in the end. Even if you did get a kill, it would not make a gold difference for you to get anything of importance. And now your team is trying to make amends for what you did, right? So at this point in the game, I don't think there's like much more I can say here, because you piled up so many mistakes across this match that at this point it's almost irreversible, right? Unless you get Soul, you get Elder, or you get Soul and Baron, and you ace the enemy team, and then you farm super well and get your gold difference back, then I don't think this would be salvageable, right? Yeah, you hardly lose this one. So things to get better at. You need to get better at warding. I'm sorry. Vision is extremely important. Up to minute 120, right? You want to stay safe, and you want to stay safe around this bush. If it looks safe, you can try to look toward here. During laning phase, try to keep track of which quadrant of the map the jungler is from the enemy team. And what you want to do is ward that side. So let's say Jax hasn't shown up here, then I know he's here, right? By the time this ward expires, Jax will be here. So then I would put my ward here. And not only do I put my ward here, another thing you need to imagine a line, right? Imagine, damn, I'm dog shit. All right, better. Let's say we have this line here, right? So let's say jungler is on this side, then you want to play around this side. If jungler is on, fuck, jungler is on this side, then you want to play around this side, right? So you always have to keep track of where your jungler is and the enemy jungler is, and make sure you are on the right side of things. Then outside of that, don't waste money on pink wards. It's not your job to do that. That is the job of the support. Your job is to push this into their tier 3 tower as fast as possible. That's your job. And when you have priority in your lane, you go to other lanes and see if you can help there. So let's say you just pushed your wave, right? Your lane partner is here. You just pushed your wave, and let's say top lane, your top laner is not losing, but is being pressured a bit under their own tower. You have priority. This guy is not going anywhere. He has to stay under tower and make sure he gets those last hits. You can just go yoop, and then you and your top laner can either kill the enemy top laner or get enough priority for them to go back. And if they're low enough health, they can't even challenge just your top laner alone after, because they need to leave. They need to go back to the base. And then by that point, you can go base and then teleport to tower, not the minions, tower, not the ward, tower. Why tower specifically? Because by the time it takes you to go there, do a gank, go to base, by this time, right, they should have cleared the wave and start pushing back to you. Now here's the thing. If the enemy top laner is killed and they had a bounty of a sizable amount, or you already had a good amount of gold in you but haven't gone to base, if those things happen, you go to base after, right? You go to base after those things. If you go there and you don't do a good gank, or it just seems like you wasted time, you don't go to base, you go from top lane back to mid lane. And the same thing applies if you go bot lane, right? The same thing applies. The thing I'll tell you is focus on killing the enemy ADC, right? Usually the support is not gonna have the damage. The support is not gonna have the damage for it. The ADC will. So the support is there to make it harder for you to do that, right? But if you play well, you can kill the enemy ADC, and even if the support lives, the support alone cannot clear the wave. The support alone cannot challenge 3 people. The support alone cannot keep you away from the tower. By this point, either the jungler has to come around, or you can go back to mid lane. And even if the jungler comes around and these two stay here while the enemy ADC is gone, hopefully your support has put a ward here and here, and they can see, oh, jungler is right here. Okay, if jungler is right here, we just go away. Done, solved. So yeah, your main things to focus on: vision, clearing waves efficiently, learning wave states. You need to learn about wave states. You need to know when to freeze, when to go for less hits, when to push, when to do a 2-wave crash, when to crash in general, etc. You need to know all of those things. The other thing is you need to know the limits of your champion. If you're going to play Akali, you need to know the limits of Akali. Go into normal matches and see how much can you do with Akali and still get away with it. You want to know exactly how much you can get away with things. Because what you did on this match is you don't know your limits. You keep pushing. The other thing is it seemed like you didn't know what the enemy characters did completely. It seems like you know what Zed can do, but it doesn't seem like you know that Zed's Q goes through anything. So you just put yourself in the middle of the wave and Zed was like, oh, okay, I'll just throw my Q. I either only hit the minions or only hit the champion or I hit both. There's no losing. Meanwhile, for you, that is not the same, right? You have different rules because you are a different character. You need more experience with your champion. You need to know the limits. You need to know better vision. You need to know better clearing. You need to know better wave states. Those are like the big things here. I hope you understood everything I said here. If not, just shoot me a DM. I'll only do this replay and not the other one as well. You have enough here from like errors and mistakes and bad habits that you need to fix that doesn't apply to just versus Zed or just this match, because you need to know how to play from behind as much as you need to know how to play when you're in the front. So yeah, I hope you studied this. I hope you put some of those things into practice and get your ass up in a higher rank.